We arrived at the top floor of the building. The young guy led me into a room, a sort of lobby with a big velvet sofa. It looked like no one ever sat in it. He told me to wait there. Very quickly I heard voices, and I saw a silhouette of a tall, slim man wearing a long black priest robe appearing in the corridor with big, thick glasses that made his eyes look gigantic and penetrating as his gaze would hit me. His lips were thin, and he had a faint, almost boyish smile as he approached me with what appeared to be a curious gaze. There was no time to be nervous or hesitant. I reached out my hand and I muttered, "Padre Jose?" A small white hand appeared from underneath the black fabric as he smiled invitingly as I presented myself. I reached out my cold hand to greet him with a steady handshake. He asked me if I preferred to walk or sit. I said, "Whatever you prefer, Father. It is up to you." "I like to walk," he said. "Well, it's a beautiful day outside, so..." He led me through various rooms, showing me around. The beauty of the place overwhelmed me. The dining room looked like a Fellini film. Most of the rooms were attached, and as we walked in a slight bow in a rounded tower over the church. He was showing me every room, commenting on the walls, colors, paintings, and curtains. My sensations were moving too fast for me to even register what was actually going on. I felt I had to be careful with my own gaze, movements, and gestures, realizing the sensitivity of his person, his figure, his stature. We were walking. I still thought we were going to walk outside, but as one room led to more rooms, and as we started pacing together, I started to see that this was the walk. We stayed in one long, rounded room. It seemed unused, with some furniture and protective wrapping. This room was more Renaissance than the others. Another priest passed through the space. Buongiorno. He was in trousers, cap, and just the white collar to signal his priesthood. He looked at us curiously. I nodded in acknowledgement. Padre Jose gestured that he was ready to hear my story. Why had I come? How could he help me? I said that I assumed that he might know a little from Padre Nicola. Padre Nicola only told me that there was a woman who wanted to see an exorcist urgently. That is all I know. Do you have some kind of demonic issue? I froze and looked at him and I said, "Well, I don't think so. I don't think I am possessed, if that's what you're referring to," trying to assure him of my honesty. We started pacing in the long winding room on the cold floor. The light was penetrating persistently through long curtains. My bag was still on my shoulder with my camera in it, and I was still in my trench coat. We paced, together, back and forth. I started to explain my story. He seemed to listen. Back and forth. I noticed that I was feeling very dizzy. I concentrated intensely on keeping myself together as I was still explaining. My intellectual thoughts and ideas seemed to bounce right off him as if they meant absolutely nothing, and an impulse to just let go came over me, to surrender it all.